Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. It's Allan Laboucan with the Rocks and Stocks News Show. I've got another in our series of interviews with executives of junior mining companies. In this case, it's the guys from 9 Mile Metals, which makes up, in all honesty, my number one pick when it comes to base metal exploration companies. The reasons that I like the company so much are you've got two massive sulfide occurrences that you need to find the source of in one of the most important mining camps in the world. And the company has a very modest valuation considering what they've found and where they've found it. So I brought Gary Lohman and Patrick on to talk about the recent news.
As a pleasure, always.
Okay, so let's get into a little bit about how the sausage is made when it comes to exploring a project. You guys had some news out recently that you updated on how you're going about it. So let's start there.
I'm sure. Thanks for having us again. It's nice to come on and explain the press release information and answer questions regarding it. That's really hard to put on paper. And we've got Gary on here also as well to help enlighten us all on what we're achieving and where we're going. I'm going to share a screen here, and then Gary, you can bring folks up to date. Can we see those two
Yes,
images?
we can. Look at that. Look at that. That big geophysical anomaly there. A nice hinge to that anomaly. Actually, it looks like there's something coming from the southeast towards that hinge area.
Here we go, Alan, starting already. So I think you can see this on my screen. On the left has the 21-kilometer grid. And if you recall, Alan, we did an orientation grid of 6 kilometers because the IP signature was so high on the lens core because of the copper gold that just doing the conductivity EM grid, EarthX and Gary and the technical team wanted to see, because it was almost on par, the chargeability and the EM conductivity, that we did the experiment, and surprisingly the IP. So we followed it up. It's part of why we were a little late in starting the first drill there at 9 Mile on December 4th. We were hoping to do it a couple days previous, but we were just getting the data back on this 21 line kilometer IP grid. And these are not all the targets. These are the #1 high priority targets for that grid. And what I have on the right side of your screen is a zoomed in area. There's the lens, Alan. That little pimple.
I'm not seeing your point.
Yeah.
There
we go.
I see you zoomed in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a different one.
There's your cursor. Okay, I see your cursor now. So go ahead.
Here's the pimple.
Yeah.
That is the lens.
Okay.
That is what we drilled at the lens area. Here's the node. Here's the hinge.
Yeah.
Yep.
And again, this is plunging subsurface away from the node, right? So there's your hinge A. Okay, so
Allen's hinge.
Yeah, we started at the lens area because that's where we ended, and we wanted to see we have targets for additional lenses. 1, 2, 3, 4 nodes, right?
And where exactly is the lens?
It's right here.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Right, so we are about 500 meters away. Scale, you can see it here. 500 meters to our #1 high priority target for the source of the lens.
Okay.
Now, it doesn't mean these are not additional lenses that are broken off in a string, right? Anyway, that's 500 meters away. We did 3 holes here, and we drilled that missing hole we couldn't get to in phase 1 of the lens because of the snow and the runoff and the topography. because the environmental, it would all the water and silt, it was going to contaminate the water because it was a temporary river from the spring runoff. So we finally got in there and drilled that. And Gary touched on a bit in the pre-meeting that we knew we were breaking, the drillers have to break for Christmas holidays around December 21st. And there's a day then for pulling hoses and exiting for the break. And then they have to service the rig. So we started in this area, one for methodology. That's where we ended off, and we wanted to continue to the lens because of the change in the rock type and seeing that for the geological information. But it takes, someone made a comment, you know, only 521 meters, which is only the 3 holes. We did get halfway down the first hinge hole. But when, I think we mentioned before, educating the folks out there that when you have a shorter hole, it takes longer because you got prep, you got to set up the rig, you got to maneuver it, you got to drill it, you got to pull it, you got to go to the next hole, you got to run new water lines, all those things. I love deep holes because you start it, you walk away for a week.
Yeah.
You know, so
You
it
know,
was time consuming doing
that
shorter
brings up
program.
That brings up something that we were talking about prior to the interview. I don't think a lot of people really understand how the exploration sausage is made. You know, you've got rigs to move, you've got preparation to get those rigs ready, you've got core, you've got, and Gary was telling me about all the assessment work that they've got to do, and you guys got an MD&A to put out with your financials. It's just not as simple sometimes as people think.
Well, also, I think also, Allan, like even technical, like Patrick mentioned, short holes, that they can start the hole, say at 6 o'clock at night, they could finish at 2 in the morning. Then they're ready to move. So that means we've got to travel out to the rig, and you're sitting there with headlamps on. You know, we've done it before, moving drills and running hose and moving equipment at 2 and 3 and 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
And this time of year, it's snow, you can get rain, high wind. Yeah, it's a little challenging.
I mean, and on top of that, so we did start T05A. We got about 240 meters down and we had to cap it. It was December 21st and 22nd.
What direction is that going?
This one?
Yeah. Pretty
Gary?
much down the line, about 130 degrees, 132.
And what's that chasing?
There's multiple IP targets at depth. There's actually 2 along the trend. One was fairly shallow, and then there's a deep target.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the hole that's going to test the hinge, where is that? Is that the next hole?
Well, let's stop there. T05.
Yep.
So, you know, we tried to show in the press release that, you know, the Bathurst camp was a little cold this winter. It's -20 at times. We actually had several times when the crew couldn't do a night shift. You know, and when you don't do the night shift, water lines freeze, you got the heater going and so on. And actually we had one gentleman that medically had to stop, because remember the track mount rig is exposed.
Yep.
Right, so it's got advantages, but then disadvantages is, you know, when it's -20 in the daytime and -30, 40 at night, it's a little challenging regardless of tents and heaters and stuff. So that slowed it down a couple times. But we did we have secured a skid mounted rig, so it's a container, like a railway container that has the traditional rig inside. We had to make sure, we had to get the permits updated for getting those in and stuff like that. So a little bit of admin we did in the pause, but just so you know, there was a couple things there, and now we have that secured to come back. And deeper, it's a deeper rig, it's stronger, more powerful, it's enclosed and heated and stuff.
So you're not going to get
also
it moving.
can stay on plane a lot more, right? So if you're doing a 60-degree hole for 500 meters, it doesn't go down 300 and start bending.
Right.
Yeah.
It'll be able to stay on plane a lot deeper. So the pause was strategic in some respects, because we knew we had to break for the holidays. So we designed it where we had a shallow program, which was also in order of the way we had to do it systematically, but we
Yeah.
knew we'd have the luxury of a pause to review all drilling, reconnect with EarthX on the daily updates from the downhole mag on every hole that we did on this one, et cetera, and then tweak some holes. And as you can see, we have a new one right here. That was the outcome from this pause. And
what direction is that hole going to go in?
It is going right into this beauty right here.
Ah, I saw that when you. So what we're looking at here, is this a compilation of all of the geophysics that have been done and filtered by EarthX?
No, this is the original drone magnetics, and then we overlaid the grid with some target holes. But we've press released this several times. But this chain here, right into here. But again, this is quite phenomenal subsurface, and you'll see that in a second. But we do have.
You lost your.
Yeah.
Can you zoom out a little? I wanted to highlight something that I saw there.
Wanted to just show you something real quick.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
It's okay. You guys talk. I'm going to pull something up.
Yeah, good. So yeah, Gary, I'm seeing some things there that in the mag that are in the geophysics that has me quite intrigued. That there's that north-south feature, the hinge feature, but then I saw something coming towards the east there that looks like everything might be converging at that hinge area.
Yeah, that the representation you've got is that's the first vertical derivative of the TMI, total magnetic intensity. So it really emphasizes the peaks in there, and it well defines your targeting, and that works in conjunction with the IP targets that EarthEX is generating, and then you can relate the two. Like I mentioned previously, the break that we took, like not only was it Christmas, it gave us time to review the technical. When we're on the screen with EarthEX, they could show how our first few holes, there was a nice cohesive conductor that we're following and tracking all the way up. And a lot of these holes, I know in the press release we mentioned, I think to date we've got 18 priority targets, and there's some of these collars that are on the larger map will have multiple holes collared from them, maybe a -45 and a -60, detecting different, maybe some conductivity, maybe mag, maybe resistivity. So like the break was really, really helpful, because we could also not only just look at the geophysics, we're seeing the rocks, and that was positive. There was some good core that was retrieved in this first pass.
Okay. Yeah, there, if you go immediately to the south and to the east of 209A, there's a big anomaly there. But then there's a series that if you go south of 214A, there's 1, 2, 3, and then you've got what looks like another feature that goes east to west, and this whole area is just it's got quite a structural story to it, and geophysics that are coincident with it.
Yeah, that you'll see that large east-west feature across the bottom of the image.
Yes.
And previous mapping, and we've seen sniffs of it. There is iron formation tucked in there.
Yeah.
And that comes from a lot of the historical work, when iron formation is always good at these deposits, like Austin Brook right around the Brunswick 6, and there's iron formation with the 12. Yeah. So it's all very positive signs here.
Yeah.
But that
these are your islands, remember?
Yes. Those are
and here, and this is the new anomaly target, but like you said, there's this.
Yes, exactly. And then if you keep drawing from where you did on that other hinge to the west, you still connect another feature that looks like it's coming towards to the immediate west of the. There you go.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Look at
So-
that connection right where those two meet. You've got what looks like just a booming target that's screaming to be drilled.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not short of any targets, Alan, that's for sure. But yeah, and I wanted to show you,
Something that gets me excited is those structural intersections.
Yeah.
That's where things can be really well prepared
Yeah.
for mineralization.
Yeah, you need those fluid pathways.
Exactly.
so Alan, this is T14, T08. This is slicing subsurface. And so there is a method to the madness. This is the targets we're trying to hit subsurface, right? In 3D. So, it's hard to show that obviously on a press release and so on, that where you're trying to show what we're targeting underground and the size and scale. Now, just so the viewers know, this, because don't forget your ground-based IP and EM surveys go down about 300 meters.
Right.
Here's the top of one that could be this big, right?
Yeah.
So again, that's why we have multiple targets and so on, but that's also why we do certain things like
I think to put that into context.
this.
Oh, ooh.
Right?
Ooh.
So if you recall, so this is the drone, 1,009 kilometers that we flew. Okay.
Yeah.
The red is the strong conductors. They coordinate with, obviously the mag trends and so on. But I want to share with some folks. I'm going to turn a few things off. And let's look at the size of this subsurface. Okay. So here's your folded nose hinge, right?
Yeah.
Here's that big Vancouver Island looking one.
Yeah.
And here's all your trend, here's the other hinge and so on. But here's your islands, and here's your nodes and your lenses. So you can see the size of these things, right? These very well could be a series, right?
Absolutely.
Here's your parallel islands, right?
Before
Here's
you
your
brought this
nodes.
up, I was going to say that you have to also put it into context of the camp. This camp has 100 million ton VMS, anywhere from millions to hundreds of millions, and so this is a regime where you can have very big and powerful, massive sulfide bodies,
and they're small footprints, right? So again, this is a kilometer long. This is a kilometer and a half right here, this folded nose with the node and the plunge. Here's a good way to look in there, right? Here's the lens area. There's some drill targets and so on, right?
Yeah.
Remember, pink is closest to surface, so it's the strongest, pink and red.
Yep.
This plunges away from us going north. So it goes to red, yellow, blue. But look at the subsurface size of this stuff.
In 3 dimensions.
In 3D.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can see your nodes and so on here for your islands, but look at the actual trend. Remember?
Yeah.
This trend and the southeast and west. Let's go to this side and zoom in. This is that anomaly with the nodes. Again, this is a node, there's arguments for structure. This is very complex, but that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
That's a very, very good thing.
Absolutely. Because you could be looking at a field full of volcanogenic massive sulfide occurrences. That's going to be complex, but that's a good thing.
Yeah.
This comes, and VMS traditionally comes in clusters, but this is kind of like ground zero, where you get all the major folding in the camp, the saddle, we call it, the synform, everything coming in at 9 Mile Brook from east, from the saddle west, coming down from Caribou and the whole California lake system coming here. This is a different system. This is a converging of folding and a lot of pressure. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's multiple, at the end of the day, looking backwards, multiple hits here.
Absolutely.
With different clusters. And when you look at the power of some of this, and we are working with a third-party company to get this to the end user on our website and be able to interact with this and show like all the layers. You can just click them on off and you can go through it.
I'm gonna later on, I'm gonna share a screen and I'm gonna ask you a question related to if you follow that north to south anomaly, in the middle of it, there's
This one?
No,
The big one.
right there. To the
the
east,
trend.
or right in the middle of it is a mag low. I think that's mag. There's
It's here.
right there. I'll get to that later, but go ahead, keep going, Gary, because I love those 3D models, amigo.
Yeah. No, that's a great way of looking at it and sort of explaining size and scale.
Yeah.
And their EarthEX is modeling, I think it's the first derivative of the mag. They can pick up structure at a kilometer depth.
Yeah.
Wow, wow. And how do these things connect? You know, where, like, you've got a series of islands there. Where do those islands connect? You have
So that is the southern contact between the remember the orange? We can show that again.
yeah.
But that is right on the contact point of the California Spruce Lake Formation in the California group.
Yeah.
And it's right on it. And
so you've
all
potentially got massive
deposit,
sulfide occurrences at the contact.
Yeah, and it's, think of two things, and they overlap, but where's the fluids going to come up and settle, right? So you got the southern boundary of the contact that pinches in orange to the north, and here's the north side of the contact.
Wow.
So it is a different system.
And is it a keel?
What all this is about.
It could be like the keel of a boat, that as you go deeper, you hit the keel.
Yeah.
Well, if you go back to, I'll bring up the actual structural formation map, the geology map.
Okay.
And you'll see exactly where we're talking about. So
that 3D model you had there, is that or you're gonna make it available so people can move around and use it?
Yeah, that's ours, and it has multiple versions over time and hundreds and hundreds of layers that would mean nothing to most people. 20 different versions of the mag and so on, but we'll filter it down, but we'll also be able to do
this guy.
We'll definitely get it interactive for folks. That's a big priority.
Cool.
And I want to
because to really, if you looked at it from a plan view, that's going to give you one perspective. If you can then move it around, which is really what you need to make sense out of it, you need to have the right tools to do that with.
But that's also like
sometimes, giving too many tools to people like myself is a dangerous thing. So we're gonna make it interactive where they can't get lost and they just turn things on and off. It's very, very impressive, and we're very excited to be able to be bringing that to the market.
You have any idea when you could do that?
Stay tuned, my friend.
Oh, there's the geology. Okay.
So here are the islands right along this contact.
Yeah.
And right along that side of the contact.
And that orange package of rock, the Spruce Lake Formation, if you keep following it, it has multiple deposits along it. And guess where they tend to be?
Yeah.
On the contact.
On the contact. Exactly.
I teed it up there for you, Patrick.
This is the contact where we just drilled, right?
Yeah.
In California Lake. And if you continue north here on the whole camp, you can see the Wedge, Canoe, Superjack, all those deposits are on the contact.
And up to the north too.
Yeah.
But all this has never been looked at, and we're very excited. It's very complex. It took a long time to get this land package together, and it's very exciting. So,
and those are all your claim blocks. Look at all that contact and the structural story.
Like even the famous Brunswick 12 and 6 are on the contacts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's not to the non-geos out there. That's not a mystery. You've got two rock packages, and right in the middle is where the fluids can then make their way up. That's your conduit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, these very basic diagrams help explain a lot of technical material.
Right, right.
But just to go back to let folks know, we are halfway down T05A, right? So we are going to resume, and then we've got the other targets. I'm going to bring them up here for everyone. Just
When
remind
does
them.
the one going into the hinge happen in priority or in sequence?
So we're halfway down this one,
Yeah,
and we can show you a
and you're going towards
subsurface slice. But we
the
did that one because I had 2 targets on the IP on the line. But obviously, this is high priority. 8,
And
14. And don't forget, we didn't put every hole, but there's holes all around this.
Yeah.
And it goes all the way towards T09. And obviously, we can look at these along the way, right? But this is a big high priority now, which is new, which is phenomenal. Because remember, this is the trend, the folded nose.
Yeah.
You could call that a nose, like you could go crazy, but it's the nodes on the sides. So the nodes is traditionally the VMS deposit on the fold that gets spit off to the side, which is this guy over here.
Yeah.
But we also have small holes to test. And it's exciting. We're not just only have one target, right? We have multiple different systems.
And that's the nature of a VMS cluster. They come in clusters it's called a cluster for a reason.
Yeah, something like this would be, is a node off to the side, So this side is and you can see this low around here, Allan.
Right. Yeah. Wow. That's a screaming target. Drill me, please.
You don't have to tell the geologist to go start work. I mean, he's probably the car's probably already packed.
And I'm as you're talking, I'm looking at that low and the different shades of the blue, and right there where your cursor is was. Yeah, I see.
Well, and also, Allan, you have your low here, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to get to that. Don't take away my thunder yet. Do you mind if I share a screen now, Patrick?
Absolutely.
Go ahead. See what we got here.
Alrighty, here. There's my Google Earth Pro, and I'll turn off this, and I'll get to, Canoe Landing Lake will get me close enough. So I do a little of my own homework on this with the old Google Earth, and there's some things that I've been pointing out. Here you've got the Brunswick 12, Brunswick 6, Heath Steel, within a 10-kilometer radius or 20-kilometer radius. You've got over here California Lake, Canoe Landing. But I'm going to zoom in on something that I'm seeing in your geophysics that also has me. So that's the 9-mile lens. So if you follow that package of rocks here, that structure, as you can see right in the center of it, you've got a cross-cutting structure and displacement of the structure. Let me zoom in a little bit more for you. And I think that coincides with that mag low. So these are also potential conduits. Did I get that right, Gary?
Yeah, that looks good. And you can see there's what you're pointing out are some really strong regional structures.
Right. And
then you get very subtle breaks or more secondary type things. And where this really stands out, and you mentioned we're doing in the assessment work, while we do this, we also look at the LiDAR, which gives you the
topography.
Good look at the basement. It strips away all the vegetation.
And you guys don't share this with me. So I can do my own arm waving. I got to go and look on Google Earth to figure everything out.
Yeah. But you know, the shaded area down there in the bottom third, bottom quarter, you know, you've got that trend across the bottom, you got the trend north. I mean, where you see the lens thumbtack, you can see that there's no structure that would take it to the islands.
Yeah.
No.
You know, it's separate. And there's not like there's a fault that goes all the way up to the islands and you think it could be transported from there.
Oh, there's something happening here as well. Something happening here.
That's pretty much along your contact. You get up, just go due west of the 9 Mile lens.
Yeah.
Into that area there. There's actually good rhyolite through there. And you just nudge a little north. You're going to see up and through there, it's all pyritized rhyolite. That's your California Lake group. And
it
on that
sticks out
creek,
like a sore thumb on Google Earth, my friends.
and you'll see the at the intersection going up a little farther north and down that creek is the Boucher Brook occurrence, which is another lead sulfide occurrence within the California Lake group.
So that's kind of your islands coming across there, Allan.
This
Because
intersection,
one's overlapping the other.
this intersection has me really intrigued because it looks to displace and also have some interesting hinges in the rock packages. And you see it in the geophysics.
But you don't see it in the geophysics.
Yeah.
Well, you see,
You know, that creek river,
well,
the brook, you don't see when we go back to the 3D model, that's a huge dead space, right?
that's what I'm
trends,
saying.
the islands, and there's nothing there.
And that's what that could be in itself an important target because you've got intersections of faults, you've got parallel running faults, you've got displacement of fault, you've got hinges in the structures. That all shows up as a geophysical low. That is an interesting spot to me. I wouldn't be surprised if there's more massive sulfide occurrences up there.
Well, don't forget that whole area was covered by the IP grid, right? So, you know, the chargeability was very, very low on that area. Now, not on the islands, which was picked up by the geophysics and the mag and the drone. So that low, this is more for Gary, but that low area, there's certain boxes that we have to check and
another thing is maybe your geophysics isn't seeing deep enough to pick up what could be events happening at deeper in the system.
Yeah.
the way to the core.
Right.
Yeah, you know, the drone does go down about a kilometer, you know, and the surface grid's about 300 meters. So
yeah,
at that point, it becomes economic as well. But as you can see, the complexity of this whole 9 Mile brook area is normally
another intersection here, Gary, that looks like it's coming towards the homeland.
Yes.
Well, and that's right on that trend. That's the trend that comes down north to south, right?
That's here.
And that's the plunge. That's the plunge area and the folded nose.
Wow. I'm not too bad with that Google Earth. You guys don't give me enough information and I got to do it all on Google Earth.
Truth checking, right?
Well, and Patrick said, like, this is a sort of a big toolkit and there's a lot of boxes to check, and it's that's why it was, like I say, it was good to have that little break so we could take geology, geophysics, and all the little items and then discuss it and see where things match up or where they don't.
Right.
And the rock types in the drill hole, in the core.
Yeah.
We need to see the felsics, the volcanics, as we're going towards Hinge, and certain things are expected to be there, which they are. So yeah. And you know, we could go crazy with 3D slices and show you each target of every hole, but we'll save that for series part 2.
I'll have to twist your arm at the PDAC if I go up there. I am thinking about it. I'm a bit of a lone wolf, and I tend to be a bit of a stay to my home camp, but I might come up there this year.
Come straight to the do a site visit, my friend.
Yeah.
Well, we can maybe do an interview at the PDAC. Are you guys going to be there?
We will.
Okay. Do you have a booth?
No.
Okay. Well,
We'll have access to one as we did before, but
we can
but, you know, the
create our
problem
own
with the
booth.
problem with the booth is you have to stay there. But you know, it's you know, we're super excited. This is just a recap. We had to systematically go in a certain order. We didn't drill the lens area because it's the most high priority. That is not the case. We had to do some continuation from phase 1. We had to finish the lens for the bulk sample dimensions.
Yeah.
And it will give us a good indication. Don't forget the drill holes are up high, so the body can be deeper, and we clip it high, right? So it's not clipping it deep, but it's good enough for us.
And
we'll
it
be able
dips
to work
towards
with
the
RPC.
hinge, right? The lens?
We did 3 sides of it. Remember, we did 2 vertical at 90, 1 at each end of the outcrop of the lens.
Yeah.
We did 2 diagonal, I think 1, Gary, from south to north, but we couldn't get in south, north to south. And we got in there this time because it was frozen. So
and what
we
direction does that lens dip towards?
It's near vertical.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything in the camp is.
Which is traditional and you want to see.
Yeah.
Wow. So you guys got a lot of work to happen in the first quarter of 2023.
So that all those things have gone for assay, even the drill core from the lens, which I'm sure everyone would love to see. It's gone, the information's gone. Obviously, EarthX is daily updated, but it's gone to RPC for continuing that final missing cog, and we'll get that update shortly. We're also going to start complete 10 T05A, and then go to the meat and potatoes, which is the high priority hinge A, with the new Vancouver Island there.
Yeah,
that Vancouver Island looks bloody.
And the series of little nodes between. So it's a very important area. And what I'd like to do is let everyone know, I think for us to give more timely updates and also to keep this organized and focused, we're going to report lens area, hinge area, kind of like mini programs, just so we can keep them in context, and then islands and so on.
You guys to dig deeper into that news and get the word out there and try to, I mean, when you have such a target rich area, and it's not just waving your arm targets because you're in an important VMS mining camp, and these are multiple events of volcanogenic massive sulfides. You got to find them all. You got to find the source of them all. You got a lot of work, but that's a good thing.
Well, that's like even like you looked at the Google Maps. We're 10 kilometers, southwest of the Brunswick 12, third largest, lead or zinc lead mine in the world. This is like world class. This is elephant country.
And you've got a lens there that doesn't have a source for it yet, but it's got the best grades in the whole camp. If you found something
by far,
it's a thick lens, so it's not a little sliver of a massive sulfide,
but just the tip too, just the tip, and
that's the top of the finger. But
if you remember the technology. You remember how the Megatam and all the technology in the past has that whole north-south trend where the hinge A is and the Vancouver Island and all that stuff. It was 10 kilometers wide and just red, right?
Yes.
So you got to remember how far we've taken to filter this all out to identify the actual source targets and subsurface. And it's completely.
Therein lies the magic of what EarthX is doing, because when you have that much geophysical noise, how to filter it down to then target where you want to drill with high probability, that's what this whole thing is about.
I mean, everybody's heard the stories of some company previous to your company missed it by 400 meters. Well,
4 meters.
4 meters, yeah. I mean, Prominent Hill was 30 meters, and that was, you know, $1.2 billion they sold that mine for in Australia. And we know the people that discovered it. And the previous company, they were the 7th company, and the 6th company missed it by like 60 meters.
Yeah.
That brings up a report that Newmont put out probably 2 decades ago. They compiled all the data from all the mines in the world. And guess which number they came out to? That it was the 7th operator of a project that found the mine.
Yeah.
On average, throughout all the deposit mines in the world.
Yeah, and don't remember, we just raised our super flow through funding. We have a whole program already paid for.
Can you tell people what super flow through means, Patrick?
So super flow through in Canada, you have for Canadian reporting individuals or companies or so on, they can subscribe to a share of class called flow through class of share, and you can get up to 130% tax credits and rebates against that.
That's your
But it has
super
to be
flow
used
through.
by us for exploration. It's kind of like in the oil and gas business, drilling for oil and gas, you get a UTI credit, and it's like 90%, but it's for drilling. Same thing in exploration. It's like R&D. It can't be used for office, lights, internet, regular operating expenses. It is strictly for exploration, advancing the needle of the project.
Yeah.
And I know it wasn't. People don't like to raise additional capital at lower prices, but at the same time, you can consider it like insurance. We are funded. We are going to drill this program completion. We do not have to come to the market.
And you guys got a tight share structure to start with. So
yeah. So
yeah.
it's not like you got 200 million shares out and you're going up to 250 million shares.
Yeah.
You know?
It's very advantageous, and
is there any of those like when you spend money in Quebec, sometimes they give you money back? Is there anything like that in New Brunswick?
No, I've heard about that in Quebec, and I'm not giving tax advice or any kind of thing like that. But I know there's once you get above a certain northern latitude, you get like it's really way out there and remote, right? So it's kind of a compensation. I think there are some. I know there's projects up there that do benefit from that, but then you need that benefit because the cost to get your drill rig there, and you can only go there 1 month a year. All, so
you don't have any of those things to worry about in the Brunswick or Bathurst mining camp.
Actually, the drill rig is sometimes in the middle of the road.
Oh,
that's how good the access is, right?
Wow.
And that means, and you just pulled up creeks and rivers, and we have access to water. Like, it's phenomenal. Like, that's why it's ranked like the best jurisdiction in Canada, in the top 10 of the world, by Fraser Institute. And it's I can't say enough, plus a supporting New Brunswick Department of Energy and Mines that
like the government support's amazing.
Wow.
They are your partner, driving you to success in their province, honestly.
Wow. Was there anything I forgot to ask you guys?
I don't think you do. You just, if you did, it's just for the phase 2, part 2.
We'll get at it next time. Well, I'm going to wrap things up because
I appreciate having us on as always, and look forward to a sooner than later follow-up.
Well, I'm going to wrap it up by saying I think that the guys helped make it clearer why this company is my favorite base metal exploration camp or base exploration company of all the companies that I follow. World-class mining jurisdiction, elephant country, finding new massive sulfide occurrences, going after the source of those massive sulfide occurrences, and wide open with massive amounts of targets to find new massive sulfide occurrences and find their sources. And it's all contained in a company with a tight share structure and a really modest valuation. So that's what makes up why 9 Mile Metals is my favorite gold or base metal exploration company. And so as always, my shows are for information and research purposes only. It's important for you to speak with your financial advisors before making any investment decisions, and do your homework. I'm always harping on people to do their homework. And the reason is when you do your homework, you understand what you're investing in, and you're not subject to the emotions of the day-to-day fluctuations of a stock price. And in my experience, I've been doing this since 1993. The ones that make the most money in this sector are those who make logical decisions, understand the companies that they are investing in, and have a reasonable time frame for success. And that's what happens when you do your homework. And I hope that my shows are a good launch point for you to do your homework, because we get to dig deeper into the news. And on that note, have a great day, and we will talk to you soon.